Hello, it's Tom again from the UK Preppers Radio Network with my Ebola message 2. Not sure. Yes. No. Well, maybe. Perhaps. That is how indecisive the UK government has been in putting screening measures in place to protect us from Ebola. When does screening not mean screening? Well, it's when the UK government says it will screen passengers entering the UK for fever and therefore Ebola. It is what most people want, and even if it does not prevent Ebola from entering the UK, it is, I would suggest, a morale booster, and it would show that our government are, well, covering all the bases, and it would also show that it has listened to the worries and fears of its citizens. Excuse me. With that in mind, the UK has decided to screen Heathrow and Gatwick and Eurostar, but for some reason not Dover or any other seaport. How can you only do a little bit of screening? Surely if you screen one, you must screen them all. As to do otherwise, I would suggest, is stupid and useless in the extreme. Some of you will say, well, at least they're doing something. Well, if you think that the UK screening of these 3 entry ports will involve temperature testing for fevers, you are very much mistaken. As the UK's version of screening is to ask questions. Yes, that's correct. We're going to ask travellers questions. I mean, how pathetic is that? Now, with our free NHS healthcare at point of need, I think that passengers would simply lie in their answers to the questions. Don't you? I believe that the government is sending out mixed messages and simply not getting enough or doing enough to protect the public from a disease which is now thought to have claimed victims in Spain, America, as well as Africa. Listen to this. In a further sign of indecision, ministers appeared unsure of exactly when the screening would start, how many medical staff would be needed to carry it out, and of course where they would come from. Well, I would say, why do you need medical staff to simply ask questions? The UK receives more air passengers from the affected West African countries than any other nation in the world. And the scientist who first discovered Ebola said it is inevitable that the virus would spread to Britain. And virus expert Charles L. Bailey, who in 1989 helped the American government tackle an outbreak of Ebola among rhesus monkeys being used for research, said, "We know for a fact that the virus occurs in sputum, and no one has ever done a study disproving that. Coughing or sneezing is a viable means of transmitting." Something I not only agree with, but I have said publicly since this outbreak. I would like to suggest that the best way to prevent Ebola coming into this or any other country is simply to quarantine those in the affected areas for a minimum of 21 days. Now, I am prepared to leave this to your imagination because you will make up your own mind and nobody can blame you for that. But I would ask you, for your own sake, to please be aware of what can go wrong, what might go wrong, and the what ifs and the oh no's when it comes to prepping. I hope to have some messages out in the next few days. Thank you for listening, and I welcome your comments.